the cameras flashed, the crowd froze.
Yeah.
And just like that, Hollywood had a brand new obsession.
It was everywhere. Like, you literally couldn't escape it.
You really couldn't. I mean, imagine for a second that you're scrolling through your phone.
Right.
It's late April 2026.
Oh, the perfect time of year.
Exactly. The weather is finally starting to warm up. You've got your morning coffee, and you open up your feed. And immediately you're hit with the most glamorous, high-wattage Hollywood news imaginable.
Zoë Kravitz and Harry Styles.
Yes. Zoë Kravitz and Harry Styles are engaged. You see the photos of them strolling through London. She's flashing this massive diamond ring. And, I mean, they just look effortlessly cool.
They always do.
Right. It's the ultimate pop culture fairy tale.
Yeah.
But then you scroll down exactly 1 inch, and you witness a very public, very messy, highly emotional meltdown from the bride-to-be's ex-fiancé on Instagram.
It is, it's the ultimate digital whiplash. I mean, you go from this curated cinematic romance to just raw, unfiltered heartbreak in a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
And as a society, we just cannot look away from the collision. We really can't.
Welcome to Starscope Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
Because today, for this deep dive, we're taking the timeline of the ultimate Hollywood engagement, filtering it through a ruthless Reddit jury, and using academic consumer psychology to find out exactly why a 45-year-old multimillionaire is currently melting down on Instagram.
It's going to be a fascinating one.
It really is. We are going to unpack the mechanics of digital heartbreak and why the internet polices grief so aggressively.
Yeah, and if you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed because we've got even crazier stories ahead.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the catalyst itself.
Right, so after about 8 months of dating, Zoë Kravitz, who is 37, and Harry Styles, who is 32, are officially engaged.
8 months. That is quick.
It is incredibly quick. The timeline here moves with, like, breakneck speed. Especially considering both these people have historically defined their public appearances with intense, carefully managed restraint.
Yeah, they usually keep things so private. But, I mean, they first sparked rumors back in August of 2025 in Rome.
Right.
This was just days after Zoe's film, Caught Stealing, premiered in London.
Yeah.
And from there, it became this constant rotation of the world's cheapest cities, like coffee in Brooklyn, dinners in Soho, the Berlin Marathon, Los Angeles.
Just a global romance tour.
Exactly. And now, the giant diamond ring back in London. But what really caught my eye in the reporting specifically, there was this really fascinating breakdown from Bollywood Chatties, is the actual motivation behind this accelerated timeline.
Oh, the baby fever.
Yes. Apparently, Harry has a serious, undeniable case of baby fever.
Yeah, the sources indicate there was a major psychological shift for him. Because in 2024, his sister welcomed a baby girl.
Oh.
And according to his own statements to The Times, being there and getting to know his niece, it kind of stripped away a lot of the celebrity noise for him.
It grounded him.
Totally. It made it incredibly obvious to him what was real in life and, like, where he wanted to be. He reportedly told friends that Zoe is his soulmate and that he is just determined to start a family.
Which is so sweet.
Yeah.
And he's already been fully adopted by the Kravitz clan, too.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Lenny Kravitz, literal rock god and future father-in-law, is leaving supportive emojis on Harry's Instagram.
You really can't ask for a better endorsement than that. Lenny Kravitz approving of you, you're set.
Right. But it presents a pretty stark contrast when you evaluate their respective relationship histories. Because this is Harry's first engagement.
Yeah, he's had very high-profile relationships, obviously.
Taylor Swift, Kendall Jenner, Olivia Wilde.
Right, but he's never taken this specific step, whereas for Zoe, this is actually her third engagement.
Right. She was married to the actor Carl Glusman from 2019 to 2021.
And then engaged to Channing Tatum until late 2024.
Exactly. And because Harry and Zoe's relationship is moving at warp speed, it naturally creates this massive vacuum of public attention. And, you know, nature abhors a vacuum.
Oh, it certainly does.
Which is exactly where Channing Tatum's Instagram story comes in. And later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming regarding his own love life. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Because immediately after People magazine confirmed the engagement, Channing posted to his Instagram story. And it was not a standard PR-vetted statement wishing them well.
No. Not at all.
It was a highly cryptic, deeply emotional poem, originally written by the poet John Rodell. Channing just posted it and captioned it, "Red."
And the imagery in this poem is incredibly intense. I actually have it right here.
Oh, please read it.
Okay, so he starts. My brain and heart divorced a decade ago over who was to blame about how big of a mess I have become.
Wow.
Yeah. Eventually, they couldn't be in the same room with each other. Now my head and heart share custody of me.
That is heavy.
Right. It goes on to describe how the heart is always sad about yesterday, the head is worried about tomorrow. So the narrator is spending time with his gut, who serves as his, quote, unofficial therapist.
His gut. Okay.
And the grand finale is him packing a little bag, walking to the doors of his lungs, and a gust of air embracing him, saying, "What took you so long?"
What's fascinating here is the absolute jarring juxtaposition of this post. I mean, that is what fuels the public fascination.
Oh, totally.
Because he is broadcasting this profound, paralyzing emotional torment over his ex moving on. I mean, the poem literally speaks of being a mess.
Right.
But if you evaluate the actual timeline, Channing himself has already moved on.
Yes. This is the craziest part. He's been publicly dating a 26-year-old model named Inka Williams since April 2025.
It just doesn't compute for people.
It feels exactly like a dramatic teenager posting passive-aggressive away messages on AOL Instant Messenger back in the early 2000s.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know what I mean. Putting up the little dashboard dashes, typing "my heart is broken," playing a dashboard confessional song in the background, all just hoping that one specific person reads it.
And logging on and off so the door sound plays.
Yes, exactly. But the thing is, this isn't a 15-year-old in a suburban bedroom.
No.
This is a 45-year-old Hollywood A-lister, the star of Magic Mike. A literal multi-millionaire broadcasting this to millions of followers while his new 26-year-old girlfriend is presumably sitting right next to him.
Which is just so awkward to think about. But to understand the intensity of that public crash out, as the internet dubbed it, we really have to dissect the anatomy of Zoë and Channing's actual breakup.
Right. How did we get here?
Well, they were together for 3 years and engaged for 1. They met back in 2021 when Zoë cast him as the villain in her directorial debut, Blink Twice.
Great movie, by the way.
Really good. But by all accounts from The Mirror, the relationship ended in late October 2024, right after the press tour for that movie wrapped up.
The classic post-project split. You see it all the time in Hollywood. Once the shared goal is done, you look around and realize the day-to-day logistics of your actual lives are completely incompatible.
Exactly. They realized they were at fundamentally different stages. I mean, location was a massive friction point.
Oh, geographical anchors are huge.
Right, because Channing's anchor is strictly tied to Los Angeles for his 11-year-old daughter, Everly. And it is also super crucial to factor in the emotional toll of his previous marriage.
The Jenna Dewan situation.
Yes. His divorce settlement with Jenna Dewan over the profits from the Magic Mike franchise was incredibly messy. It dragged on for 5 whole years, and it only just finalized the September 2024.
Right around the time he and Zoe split.
Exactly. Meanwhile, you have Zoë, who is fiercely independent. She prefers New York City, and sources noted she didn't even necessarily want to get married again after her first divorce. So they loved art and film, but blending their actual lives proved impossible.
And their post-breakup behavior couldn't be more polarized. Because while Channing is posting Tumblr-era poetry about his lungs and his gut on Instagram, Zoë is executing the most graceful pivot imaginable.
Oh, she handled it flawlessly.
She really did. She did an interview with Elle in February 2025, finally breaking her silence on the split, and she took the absolute high road.
What'd she say?
She stated she still cares for him very much. She praised his confident acting performance in Blink Twice, and she said it genuinely warms her heart to hear people compliment his work.
Classy.
Right. It's clean, it's professional, it's totally unbothered.
And it establishes a really powerful narrative foil. Zoë is positioned as the composed, forward-looking artist who has found her soulmate. And Channing is framed as the lingering, emotionally unresolved ex who is still looking backward despite his new relationship.
But, you know, I do have to push back on this internet narrative that Channing is just being pathetic, though.
Okay, that's fair.
Because grief, especially the grief of a long-term relationship ending, it isn't a straight line.
Right. No, of course not.
You can genuinely like someone new, like his new girlfriend, while still actively mourning the death of a future you had planned with someone else. I mean, hearing your ex-fiancé is getting married is a gut punch, no matter who you are or who you're currently dating.
That is very true.
So are we being completely unforgiving and harsh on him just because he's a famous man? Like, if your buddy from college did this, you'd probably just text him and say, hey, man, you good?
You definitely would. Because the nonlinear nature of grief is a universally human experience. The variable here isn't the emotion itself. It's the platform, the audience, and the medium.
Right. The scale of it.
Exactly. When your buddy from college does it, his audience is a few hundred people who know him personally and understand his context. When Channing Tatum does it, his audience is the global digital jury. And that jury operates on an entirely different psychological framework.
And the digital jury was absolutely merciless. There is an r/pop culture chat Reddit thread that exploded with almost 6,000 upvotes right after his Instagram story.
Oh, I saw that. They were ruthless.
The fans did not hold back for a single second. One person said he was acting like a, quote, divorced aunt on Facebook.
Oh, no.
Another compared it to Tom Brady crashing out over Gisele Bündchen.
Yeah.
And my personal favorite, someone just wrote, all quiet on the frontal lobe.
Oh, that is brutal. But that specific comment really encapsulates the internet's complete lack of empathy in these moments.
It's savage. And so many commenters pointed out the sheer embarrassment of him acting this way while dating a 26-year-old. Someone said he moved on immediately with a 25-year-old and is now posting Tumblr poetry because she also has the nerve to move on.
Wow.
They just tore him apart. And that's not even the wildest part.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because we are diving into the science of why they tore him apart.
Yes. Let's get into the psychology of this, because you brought a really interesting academic paper to the table for this deep dive.
I did. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this brings us to a really fascinating academic paper from the Maytech Web of Conferences on consumer brand choice behavior.
Okay, lay it on me.
So that Reddit thread is a textbook, real-world application of social learning theory, or SLT, which was originally developed by Albert Bandura in the 1960s.
Okay, SLT. What does it actually argue?
SLT argues that learning is a socially situated mental activity, meaning we learn how to behave and we modify our behaviors by observing our peers.
We watch what other people do and what happens to them.
Exactly. And in the context of virtual communities like Reddit or Instagram, this observation and modification happens at lightning speed. One of the core components of SLT is something called differential reinforcement.
Break down the causality there for me, because the differential reinforcement sounds like a very polite academic way of saying cyberbullying.
I mean, you're not wrong.
So how does that actually operate in the human brain?
Well, think of differential reinforcement not just as bullying, but as an evolutionary survival tactic. In the digital age, our brains still process Reddit downvotes or public mockery the exact same way our ancestors processed being banished from the tribe.
Oh, wow. So it feels like a literal life or death threat to our nervous system.
It is an existential threat. When a social group encourages or discourages particular behaviors, they are establishing the rules for remaining in the tribe. The community uses punishment, in this case public mockery, to condition the subject and the observers.
So the Reddit commenters aren't just making jokes for the sake of comedy. They're collectively mapping out the boundaries of the digital tribe.
Exactly.
By publicly mocking Channing, comparing him to a divorced aunt, and calling out his hypocrisy regarding his new girlfriend, the virtual community is planting a flag. They're saying, this crosses the line. A man in his mid-40s with immense wealth and privilege does not get to publicly perform victimhood over an ex moving on.
Precisely. The community uses mockery as a tool to reinforce the social norm of moving on gracefully. And it is the exact norm that Zoë Kravitz adhered to in her Elle interview. She followed the tribe's rules. Channing violated them.
So what does this all mean for Channing Tatum's actual career? Because he's an actor. He sells movie tickets. He has lifestyle brands. Is he actually destroying his brand as a cool, collected, desirable leading man by acting like a messy, heartbroken mortal online?
This raises an important question, and it introduces a critical debate about the intersection of authenticity and influence. The academic paper dives deep into the theory of source credibility.
Okay.
This was originally put forth by Carl Hovland in 1953 and later expanded by Rubina Ohanian in 1990. And this theory dictates that a public figure's influence, so their ability to sell a movie ticket, endorse a product, or simply maintain a devoted fan base, relies on three distinct pillars.
And what are those pillars?
Their perceived attractiveness, their trustworthiness, and their expertise.
Okay, I get attractiveness and trustworthiness.
Right.
Those are obvious. We like looking at attractive people,
yeah.
and we need to believe what they're selling. But expertise in this context, That can't just be his acting chops. How does getting dumped and posting a poem affect his expertise as a Hollywood leading man?
Well, that's the thing. In the modern realm of celebrity branding, expertise is no longer just your ability to memorize lines or hit a mark on a movie set. Celebrity is a lifestyle brand now.
Oh, completely.
So, expertise is the public's perception of your competency in navigating the world, is the illusion that you have your life together, that you possess a level of emotional intelligence and control that makes you an aspirational figure.
So they want to look at you and think, I wish I could handle life that well.
Exactly. And the academic research specifically notes that personal issues, scandals, and emotional outbursts heavily cast doubt on an influencer's efficacy.
Okay, so think of a celebrity's source credibility, like a massive Jenga tower of public trust.
Ooh, I like that metaphor.
Right. So the attractiveness block and the trustworthiness block are the foundational pieces at the base. They're solid.
Yeah.
But expertise, this perception that you have your life flawlessly under control, is the crucial block right in the middle.
Yes.
When Channing posts that messy, disjointed poem about his lungs and his gut, he is violently yanking out the expertise block, and the entire internet just watches the tower wobble.
The Jenga metaphor perfectly illustrates the fragility of parasocial relationships. Society demands a paradox from public figures.
We really do.
We want them to be entirely relatable, we want to know they experience heartbreak, but we also demand that they remain entirely superior to us. By posting that poem, Channing surrendered his superiority.
He showed that he's just as messy as we are.
Exactly. He lost the expertise of being a composed leading man. He broke the illusion of Hollywood perfection, and the virtual community is penalizing his brand credibility for it.
It's like he broke the fourth wall of celebrity. We all know they have human emotions and chaotic breakups, but they aren't supposed to show us the ugly, unfiltered parts of it unless it's packaged neatly in a PR-approved memoir 10 years later.
Precisely. The PR spin is everything.
The internet demands that our celebrities act perfectly, yet human emotion is inherently messy and uncurated.
And that is the grand paradox of social media and modern influence. We constantly demand authenticity from public figures, but we brutally punish it when it's not the right kind of authenticity.
We want the aesthetic of vulnerability without the actual discomfort.
Yes. The Reddit thread is definitive proof that the audience doesn't actually want raw emotion. They want curated vulnerability. Zoe's Elle interview was a masterclass in curated vulnerability.
It really was.
Whereas Channing's poem was a raw nerve, and the internet recoiled.
It is wild to think about the journey we've taken in this deep dive. I mean, we started with a glossy, glamorous pop culture headline about Zoë Kravitz and Harry Styles getting engaged in London. And we ended up unpacking the evolutionary psychology of social learning theory and the precarious Jenga tower of source credibility, all just to understand why a Magic Mike star is posting poetry on Instagram.
It just proves that pop culture is never just superficial gossip.
Never.
It serves as a real-time reflection of our collective social norms, our expectations of behavior, and the often ruthless ways we police each other in digital spaces.
And it has direct relevance to all of us, not just A-list actors navigating multi-million-dollar divorces. I mean, in an age where everyone has a digital footprint, we are all, for better or worse, managing our own brands.
Oh, absolutely.
We all have an audience, whether it's 5 million followers or just 500 people from our hometown. We all feel the pressure to project an image that we have our lives together, that our heads and our hearts aren't divorced and fighting for custody.
The rules of source credibility apply to the everyday user just as strictly. When you overshare, when you break the curated illusion of your own life, your immediate network engages in that exact same differential reinforcement.
The silent judgment.
Yes. Your friends or coworkers might not make a viral Reddit thread about you, but the social penalty, the quiet judgment, the shifting of boundaries is absolutely still there.
Which leaves us with a genuinely new, slightly terrifying thought to mull over. If online audiences are this ruthless about enforcing curated vulnerability on celebrities, and we are all learning to police our own emotions to maintain our personal Jenga towers of credibility, what happens to the next generation?
That is a scary thought.
Think about kids growing up entirely under the watchful eye of this digital jury. Will the constant fear of differential reinforcement ultimately engineer a society where genuine, messy, uncurated human emotion goes completely extinct?
Wow.
Are we crowdsourcing the end of raw vulnerability? The next time you feel the urge to post a cryptic quote on your own story after a bad day, ask yourself who you are performing for.
It might be safer to simply text a friend.
Keep the doors of your lungs out of the group chat.
Definitely.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture.
Thanks for tuning in.
And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining. Catch you next time.